So, good evening, everybody. Welcome. My name is Ioannis Charalampidis. I am the CTO of Kudzu Technologies. And I want to talk about how does a concept called network level certification could help enhance the reliability of any LoRaWAN installation. But I'm not going to start with the technical details. I'm going to start with the story. I'm going to take you into a nice island in the middle of the Aegean Sea called Syros, in the picturesque city of Hermoupoli, where our headquarters are, Kudzu headquarters. And the story finds me and my partner, Dimitris, developing our own first LoRaWAN device. And we're sitting at our desk and we're debugging that. So the device works perfectly during the day, but something peculiar happens in the device during the night. So the device cannot join. That's like the starting point. We tried different stacks, we tried hardware errors, we tried firmware errors, nothing really proved wrong. The device just doesn't join during the night. So we did the next natural thing and we started to debug the error, right? Obviously. So we went to all of our gateways and we installed like a custom agent that copied all of the traffic that was going from and to the gateway, and we dumped them into a database. With the intention of then post-processing all this data and creating helpful charts for us that we'd use to debug all this kind of issue. So we let the system run for a week, and 1 week later we came back and we started plotting. The first plot that we came up with was like some activity plot here. And there we verify that there's nothing wrong with our setup, it's something actually wrong with the air. Like thousands of transmissions are happening only during the night in the area we were. So that got us curious. So we kept digging, we added more analysis in this whole system. We added the ability to process all this LoRaWAN traffic and find out what's happening. So we added the classification chart indicating what kind of traffic we had. And we had thousands of join requests. Like the vast majority of the whole thing was join requests, which means some device in the area was very aggressively trying to join this network, never managing to join the network. So that got us more curious. Let's say, okay, some rogue devices there. Let's see the scope of the problem. So we did another chart, and we found out how many devices are really joining during the night. And this is where things started to get a bit more serious. We actually found out that thousands of devices are joining the network every night. And this is really, of course, considered a bit problematic. Thankfully, since all the join packets contains the device address, like the MAC address, we could try and find out who was the manufacturer of this, and to our surprise, that device was a LoRaWAN certified device. Well, to be more precise, it was a module embedded into some device. So even more curious, like why this whole thing is happening. So we keep trying to debug this whole issue. So we added more features in the system. So we added positioning, like a geopositioning solver. So we tried based on the signal strength and the time of arrival to position all these packets. And interestingly enough, all the solvers were pointing a vector away from our island towards a neighbor island. And around the same time, we saw an interesting piece of article in the news. Mykonos is joining the digital era. Thousands of new smart lighting devices installed in the city. Welcome to the new era of Internet of Things. Can you connect the dots? So what really happened there is that the solution provider installed a bunch of new street lighting in the area, never bothered to either correctly or even configure this device to the network. They also never bothered to turn off the automatic switch that was turning off and on the lights during the day. So the devices were operating on a fail-safe mode. So they're a very smart, dumb bulbs. That was what was happening there. With the very serious downside that 50 kilometers away, they were damaging our workbench. So yeah, eventually after all this research, we found our bug. It wasn't us, it was a network 50 kilometers away from us doing this whole problem. And you know what was the worst part? We read on the news that these guys will keep installing networks in every other island in the area. So you can imagine how this could progress. So based on this kind of situation, it became apparent to us that even if you have a certified device, a certified gateway, certified network operator, a network server, you're always going to find someone who could misconfigure everything. So you will end up into a situation that the whole system actually doesn't work. So what we are advocating as Kudzu Technologies as us is that we need some kind of a system-level certification. Are you going to call this certification? Are you going to call this like ISO standard, process standard? But that needs to be happening on the network level. I mean, I can already hear people thinking that, oh, why do we need a new certification system, more expensive, extra stuff, yada, yada. But I can tell you that the only solution someone could have in this problem is to mitigate the issue by adding more gateways, so increase the density of your gateways. So the only workaround to an existing problem like this is a costly and inefficient workaround. The only real solution to this is to actually prevent this from happening in the first place. This is why we believe that a network-level certification could be an incentive for someone. In the same way you would get a LoRaWAN certified device to do some kind of certified network to be selected to be installed in this area, right? So where does Kudzu fit in the whole picture? So in Kudzu, everything you saw before actually gave birth into an analytics platform we built. So what you see behind me is called Kudzu Analytics. It's actually exactly what I told you before. So it's a system that collects traffic from all of your gateways, all of your LoRaWAN servers, and even your application if you want to. We aggregate them into a system and allows you to use various interesting tools based on this kind of information. These tools range from like a dashboard where you can actually visualize what's happening in your network, identify issues, find out rogue devices, things like this. And as I also mentioned, we're trying to geo-position all this information so you can even perform the same analysis this time on a map. And since we want to have a tool that is going to help operators not only realize the problem but also fix these problems, we also have a built-in network planning tool so you can use to also estimate you can augment this information of like geoposition data and surface information to plan the deployment of your network. And of course, the last thing that we do here is we have the concept that we call rolling network certification. This is the process of automatically checking what would you manually check by checking the dashboard. Like instead of opening the dashboard every day and figuring out what's happening, there's an automatic benchmark which keeps running behind the scenes, testing all these parameters you have in the system, figuring out if everything in the system is correct. And at the end of the month, it can issue indication telling you that based on this and this and that, your network is actually working correctly. And since we're not an official provider, we cannot really issue certificates, say, trust Kudzu. What the system does is tries to create a technical report that you can actually show you to whoever is interested if he ever complains about the quality of your network. This is what we do right now. But of course, we're looking up at the future. So first of all the system has encoded our experience, our pain points, our problems. We're really looking forward to your points, your problems. So if you ever had this kind of scenario, this kind of problem, please pass by our booth and let us hear about your problem. And we would also like to move this idea, this initiative up to the higher levels. We're going to try to promote this to LoRa Alliance and try to come up with something that's going to benefit the whole community, because we do believe that this network level certification is the way to go. And since there are plenty of people interested about this, if you're interested to try this out yourself, you can join the wait list. There's a huge interest in, so we need to ramp up our infrastructure before we can accept you. So please join us and learn more about this. So yeah, with this, we have about 6 minutes for discussion. So can I hear your feedback? Do you agree with this approach? Do you think something is wrong or something good here? I mean, the idea would be to pitch this in the community and try to get feedback. Yes?
Yeah, hi. We rely on operators operating the networks because we have sensors out there and the service, and we tend to get these kind of things that they think that our battery is dead or something, which means that we need to dig up sensors from the football fields and so on, just to discover that it might be a gateway that is missing. And currently we can't, as a service provider of applications and sensors, we can't really see anything about the networks that are running. So I think this is a very, very good initiative, especially if we can get the data to sort of see if it are sensors or if it's a network.
Thank you. And yeah, with the system, you can use the system to find out activity of other networks in the area. but it is working best if it's using with your network, because this way you can figure out what you have misconfigured. I mean, the problem with the system is that we cannot really analyze your downlinks, the data that comes from the server down the devices, because we need to control that part. We can still find out what's happening in the network, in the neighbor, and you can identify if the issue is because if it's a missing gateway or it's because you get noise from another network. I mean, I'm not sure if I got your question correctly. I think it was like a comment, right? It was not a question. Just wanted to clarify that part of the system. Is there any other question, any other comment? Then I guess thank you very much and enjoy the conference.